Hey, so I think it's been like 2 weeks since we made a video, and our lives have been a whirlwind. Our last video we're talking about like our car battery dying out of the blue, and just it was a crazy fiasco. Well, then turn around, and last Thursday we get a call, 7ish p.m. our time. And it's his mom, and we just got off the phone with her, so we were like, oh, she's just calling again to tell us some crazy funny story, because, I mean, we call Charlotte, like, about every little thing. We're like, I called her today, I was like, listen to this, I broke a broom just sweeping. I don't know how, but the broom snapped in half, and I was just like, bruh. But that's not the case. And so we answer, like, hey, what's up? And we're all excited, and you just
towards the end of dinner.
Yeah, we're at the end of dinner, and we're like, hey, what's up? All excited, and she's like crying, and we're like, oh.
She ain't crying, she's sobbing.
Yeah, and she's like, your papa's dead, and I was like, what? Because it was so weird, and it came as such a blindside to us, because he had just talked to Cole, and he was like, hey, I'll call you, because Cole kept on trying to call him, and they were playing phone tag, and he's like, I'll call you when things slow down, life's really crazy right now, but good news, they took me off chemo.
Mm-hmm.
And so Cole was like, well, does that mean, you're better? What? And so we were just kind of, really confused. And we were like, and it was his birthday. And so everybody was like, I didn't get to tell him happy birthday. And it's like, what?
That's what my mom had called.
The second time.
That was the ending of the first call. So the first call, she was like, make sure you text your papa and stuff. And I was telling her how we talked the day before or whatever. And then she called me and said, he's gone. I didn't get to tell him happy birthday.
Yeah. And so Cole starts doing not irrelevant things, but Cole just is walking around just grabbing random things.
I knew I was supposed to be doing stuff, so I was doing my very best. I was getting the dog food in a Ziploc bag. Left the Ziploc bag open, shut the closet door, left the food box open.
And he was like, which food bowl do I grab?
I was trying to make coffee, and I was halfway through, and I started doing something else.
And then he spilled his coffee, and I was and my brain was going Bean has to take her medicine on this day. So I was like, we got to grab Bean's medicine. We need to get a spray bottle for punishment. We need to get harnesses, leashes, tags, make sure Bean's new tag's on there because she just got her vaccines. I was like, take this food bowl because that's the one they're eating out of this week. Yes, our dogs in particular, they have 2 food bowls, but they only eat out of one.
Spoiled.
And then the next week it changes. Same thing with water bowls. And I was like, we're just going to bring 1 water bowl. They're going to have to deal with that. And I'm packing clothes, and I'm like, what do you want to wear? And he's like, just pack me something. And I'm like, okay.
It's the time of year where I stay hot all the time, so shorts.
And so I'm like, oh, he has these nice Gap shorts. And so I grabbed those, and I threw together some outfits. And I'm like, this will just have to do. And I packed casual clothes and different things. And toothbrushes, razors, shampoo. I'm going through the list in my head of how I'd pack normally. And I'm like, you need to message your boss. Just going through the days in and days out. And from that day we got the news until we got probably there's sometimes where I'll catch him just kind of and I'm like, he's not here still. And I am a person that I'm like, process your feelings now. I know grief is going to come in waves. It always does. But I'm like, process. I'm like, don't just block everything up and be like, I'm fine, I'm good. Process. So I literally set him on our bed, and I was like, let it all out. I was like, just process. And, I've lost all my grandparents. And I was in college when I lost my last one. So I was talking to him about that, and I was like, because I was like, when you go onto the property, he's not going to be there. Are you prepared for that? And we talked about that. And I was like, you got to find some way somehow to get your closure. And Cole found his way to get his closure. But I remember the day we were leaving the property, it was the second day we were in Indiana, we were leaving. And I'm a talker. Cole can tell you, if I'm upset, if I'm mad.
Well, just by watching these videos, you can tell that. Well, I mean, it's 80-20.
I talk about everything. I'll be crying, but I'll still be talking. That's how I process my life. And Cole's the exact opposite. So I'm in the car, and I'm like, how are you?
She's borderline interrogating me about feelings I don't have yet.
And I'm like, and he's like, I don't even have words. And I'm like, do you want to sit in silence? Do you want to talk? He's like, I want silence. And I was like,
Just for a little bit.
Okay. We get like halfway down this driveway and he starts tearing up. And I like grab his hand because I'm like, he's not going to drive. I put my hand on his hand and I'm like, you're okay. Like, we'll get through this. And he's like, he had tomato plants. And I'm like, what? He had tomatoes. Like, he just planted them. Like, he had plans. And I was like, he did. He had plans. He had serious plans. And I was like, I don't think he knew that this was coming. And so we get home and like, we talked about it. Like, we're literally like, everybody's just jumping back into work to go back to work. And I was like, that's so crazy to me. I was like, you just lost somebody very important. You need, like, a chance to process and grieve. And so it was Thursday because we got back home Monday night late. And by late, I mean like 9:30.
Yeah.
We'd stopped in Joplin at 8:30.
Yeah, to pick up food because if we, yeah.
And our bedtime alarm is going off to wind down. We get a notification, hour first was wind down, and I'm like, let's unpack the car because we were sitting for 10 hours. I was like, let's just unpack the car, decompress a little, like breathe. And he was like, yeah, I agree. And so we did all that, and I just we like get in the bed, and I was like, it's kind of crazy that they expect you just to go back to work. And I was like, because I asked, I was like, you going back to work? And everybody's like, yeah, we're going back to work Tuesday. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, you just lost your father and you're going back to work. You just lost your grandpa. You're going back to work. That's crazy to me. But I was like, that's corporate America. And so I told, so Cole's at work Tuesday, and I know my husband pretty well, so I'm like, I don't need a hover. I just need he'll come when he needs me. Tuesday, and I'm like, he's still not. Wednesday comes, I'm like, he's still not Cole Abbott. And he's making himself busy with busy work, like getting the pool ready. And kept on saying, I need to mow the yard. I'm just doing the everyday busy work that we try to cope with. And Thursday comes, and he messages me at 11:22 and says, I'm going to put a petition in to lower the retirement age. And I'm like, okay.
I'm still serious about it.
Something's up. And 12:02, I get a message that says Perseverance and some Bible verses. And I'm like, okay, because Cole doesn't take lunch from 12 to 1. His lunch is different than most people's. And so I was like, oh, okay. And I knew it was for a video. I just didn't know, like, what God was telling him yet. And I was like, okay, well, okay. So, yeah. I'll give it to you.
So,
Mr. 20.
Mr. What?
20, 80.
Oh, yeah.
Get your 20% in.
Yeah. So, basically, it was just kind of a whirlwind week. I was at work on Tuesday and Wednesday, but it was just kind of like, I kind of was clicking on stuff and doing my job, to be honest. Not really. But then Thursday was absolutely crazy. And, I mean, it was between the clients, between some of the coworkers dealing with issues, like needing help, and I was able to, like, instruct them what to do and stuff, supervisor asking for stuff, and then just the systems that we work with were ridiculous. Just closing on me. I would get it reopened, try something else, it'd close on me, and then I'd try another one, and that one would close on me, and it was a mess. So I texted her. I was like, I want to lower the retirement age, because if you know me or have listened to her talk about me, I don't like jobs. I hate them. I do it to pay the bills, because you can't just disappear into the woods anymore. It's not feasible. It's not possible. But if you were able to, I wouldn't be here right now. Anyway, but so I was, working the job, paying the bills, dealing with all the issues, and I was like, I don't want to do this more anymore. I want to run away. I want to build a cabin in the mountains and just poof. And God was like, you got to persevere, because that's what you got to do nowadays. You can't the devil's going to throw anything he can at you. He's going to use what you just went through over this weekend to try and trip you up, and he's going to send you back to work with no breaks. And then when you get to work, it's going to suck, and the people are going to be difficult, and they're going to need extra stuff, and they're going to need even more stuff from you, and then they're going to ask for some more. And then on top of that, when you're typing on stuff, it's going to close.
Really quick to interject. It's really funny he says the devil's going to throw things at you. Because if you know Cole's past, it's there. And like, we talk about it a lot. And I told him, I said, be prepared because the enemy's going to try to attack you with that. I said, he's going to try to, like, throw all of this at you. And it was so funny because when we got to Indiana, I was looking around and we were around all these people and we were seeing things. And I was like, okay, Satan, okay, this is a little crazy. Like, some of those situations I was like, are we going to survive?
She said, it's a breezy day, but it's getting kind of hot around these people.
I said, are we going to survive? I would just be like, hey, buddy. Get my dogs close. Get them.
But we made it through, and we made it through the work week unscathed, purely by the grace of God. And when I was struggling there on Thursday, wanting to quit my job and run away, it's not that I don't like my job. I love my job. I love what I do. I'm happy to help people, and I get to show people Jesus in my job. But, man, some of those systems, I could take a baseball bat to them.
Like in Fireproof?
Yeah. Caleb. But God gave me the scripture from Psalm 91:4. And it says, he shall cover you, he being God, shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. Now, when you hear shield and buckler, obviously you think of like protection. But for some of you who don't know, a buckler is like a mini shield that you wear on your hand. Usually you wear one on your hand and you have a sword in the other. And a buckler is not only for defense, but it's also for offense. Because you take, when the enemy's swinging at you, you take the buckler, push it off, and then you counter with the sword and slice and dice. So God's got a shield and a buckler for you. So take refuge in him when you're tired. But you also got to be on the offensive sometimes. That's when we have to go and serve. That's when we have to go and serve God, serve the people. Like we serve a nursery. We're on the offensive fighting Satan every time we're with those kids. We're planting seeds of Jesus in them. Just so Satan has a harder time getting to them later in life.
And like, just to say, like, if your church is like, hey, we need nursery workers.
They ain't lying.
Go work in nursery. It's seriously like one of the biggest blessings when those kids run up to you.
You could be having the worst morning, and they walk in, and they give you a hug, and they run past her, and they come to me, and it just makes it even better.
So what he says is like, there's this group of girls that at first they were all like this to Cole. Like he was the plague, and I was like, oh, and they're like, don't worry, give it a little bit, and now they'll see me and they'll go like to look for Cole, and I'm like, he's over there. So sometimes when certain kids come to the door, I'm like, Cole, so and so's here, and he like comes over, and they're like, Cole, and I'm like,
oh, I'm not even bad. And God also gave me Matthew 11 verse 28. Come to me, Jesus, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. So in this passage is talking about, Jesus is acknowledging that we do have to work. We have to work on this earth, and it's part of our penance for, the very first sin, that we get tired from work, that we sweat when we work, and that it's hard. Because I tell you what, today, it was hot. I was mowing the grass. She was mowing the grass. It was still hot, and I was sweaty. It's gross. But Jesus still loves us. And when we're tired, all we got to do is go to him, and we'll get the best rest we can ever get. I tell you, we'll be praying sometimes. We'll be real tired. We'll be praying. And we got like 3 hours of sleep. We can only sleep, and we're like, God, please multiply these 3 hours and make them like 90. Please, we need it. We need your help.
We do pray that sometimes.
And I tell you what, every time we pray it, we get some darn good sleep.
I know, it's like the bed's perfect, the dogs are being great, the air's crisp.
Right after we pray that prayer, I always find the perfect spot where my neck's not breaking, but it's like, yeah.
Okay, Chuck Taylor. But this video is just kind of say like, and it doesn't even have to be death. It could be something completely different. Like the hard times, they might come, but like as Cole was saying, just run to God and be like, I need shelter, I need comfort.
It doesn't have to be big events. It could be minor inconveniences.
I stubbed my toe.
Because if you stub your toe enough times, it's going to eventually fall off. Those small events, they add up. Like, as funny as that may sound, it's serious. Like, small little things. Look at a saw blade. It's tiny little teeth, but there's a bunch of them, right? So when you cut something, all those little teeth working together cuts a whole piece.
Yeah. We just cut a metal pipe. That's how he knows that analogy.
You get the rest from God. It's the best you'll get.
Yeah. So, that's all.